Hi, my name is Kenneth Wong. I am a psychology professor at Fuller Theological Seminary. So, what I'm going to do today in this session is I'm going to teach you how to prepare a data set that's downloaded from Qualtrics and prepare it for analysis in SPSS. So, I will be going through 8 different steps today and starting off with the original data set, which I named dataset step 0. And what I will do is I'll go through each step and we'll save the data set in different file names. So that would really help with managing and organization. So here we can see the data set. It contains 123 variables, and it has a total of 575 participants here. So usually when I get a data set, the first thing I do is I create a new variable. I create a variable called ID. And so I want to identify each participant with a unique number. That way I can trace them and I can sort my data set and sort them back easily to the original order. This will really go a long ways in terms of data management. So here I have a new variable, which I just named ID. And so what I will do is I'll start with 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can go all the way to 575. Of course, that's very time consuming. And usually what I do is I go into Excel and ask Excel to do this job for me. So I type in 1 and 2. So that's what I want. I want it to increase by 1 after each cell. And then I select both 1 and 2, and I move my cursor to the bottom right and now when the cursor turns into a solid black plus sign, I click on my mouse and I pull and I drag it all the way to 575. And it will then create a list of numbers from 1 to 575. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste this back into my SPSS. So now I have my ID um, put in for all the participants. So here, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to save this file. I'm going to save it as step 1. So we completed the first step. As I mentioned, I'm going to track the process of each step and note what I did, the different file names. Okay, now using the dataset step 1 file, the next step is I'm going to create variable names for each variable. So here we can see that SPSS generated um, names based on the question numbers. So here I'm going to name the first variable age, the second variable gender, and then here I have a race variable that that's multiple selection. So the first one is I'm going to name it race and whether they selected Asian or not. In the second one, I'm going to name race and whether they selected black as part of their racial identity or not. So we can do that to all the variables. And here you see here some scales. So the scales, I usually use the scale acronym and to followed by the item number. So the first one is TP, time pressure, um, item 1, time pressure, item 2, time pressure, item 3. So I will go down the list and name all of my variables. So after you completed that, make sure you save the file as dataset number 2 after you completed step 2. So for the next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to count how many missing items are there for each participant from 1 to 575. So how do I do that? What I will do is I'm going to go into transform and click count values within cases. And I will have this dialog menu, and I'm going to name this variable something like missing, and the total number of missing. I can put a label here saying the total number of missing. And so I'm going to have it count all of the items that are scale items. So starting from derail 1 to 5, time pressure 1 to 9, all the way up to BSPT 3. So here I'm going to move all these variables that I'm wanting SPSS to count here. And then I'm going to define variables indicating that I want it to count it if it's system or user missing. I'm going to click add, so it's over here. I'm going to click continue and then OK. So after we've gone through this step, what you'll see is that SPSS will have created a new variable, and that variable name would be the one that we named MSG missing total. And so if we go to our data set, we can see that at the end, here is a new variable, missing total. So it indicates the total number of missing values each participants have. So what you can do here is you can sort by descending, and it'll go from people who missed all 99, and then decreasing to 0. And so here, at this point, you can decide which participants you want to keep. If they're missing too many, we might want to delete them. Of course, those missing everyone, missing 99, will delete. And in this case, I'm going to set it up so we keep those that missing is no more than 10%. This could be based on your judgment, based on what your needs for sample size, and balancing that out with dealing with missing data. So here we have 205 that missed over 10 items. So I'm going to select this, and 1 to 205, I'm going to clear this. So now my data set only includes participants that miss no more than 10 items. So here we have it sorted by the total number of missing. If we want to sort it back to the original sequence, what we can do here is we can go to ID and sort ascending. So it'll sort back to 1 to all the way to the last participant. So after this step, make sure you save this as a new data set. So what I typically do is after I indicate the number of missing, I save it as a new data set step 3, and then I go over how many I want to delete, and I decide to delete those that have 10 or more missing. I save it as another data set step 4. And then next step is we're going to look at how to change and manage certain variables. So in this next step, I'm going to change two variables. One is race, which was a multiple select variable. I'm going to change it to a variable that has different numbers for different races, which will help with our data analysis. And then when we collected age, we allowed them to enter their age, which is a string or a text, and I'm going to change it to a numeric. And in this process, I'm going to also check to see if anyone was under the age of 18, and that means they weren't eligible to participate in the study, and I'm going to remove them from the data set. So here we have the data set. If I go to variable view, here I can see I have a set of different races, whether they indicated they are Asian or partial Asian, Black, Hispanic, Native, Middle Eastern, white, multiple race, other, and text. And I'm going to go here. I'm going to sort it by the different races. So I'm going to start here with sort descending. So those who indicated they have the race indicated as other, descending indicating as multiple, descending indicating as white, descending indicated as Middle Eastern here, Hispanic, Black, and then Asian. And after that, I'm going to create a new variable. I'm going to call it race. So this is my new variable. I'm going to call it race. And then I'm going to give each race a unique value. So Asian will be 1, 2 will be black, 3 will be Hispanic, 4 will be Native Americans, 5 will be Middle Eastern, 6 will be white, 7 will be multiracial, and then 8 will be other. Okay, so here I've indicated the labels. So now I'm going to code what each person belongs to. So here we can see the first person, they are clearly multiracial. So I'm going to indicate 6 for that. And the second person is also multiracial, third person as well, fourth as well, fifth as well. And then next, I'm going to see here, there's 3 Asians that also indicate other. So I'm going to put other as their racial identity based on what they preferred. And then I have a group from here that are indicate only Asians. So I'm going to type 1 here, copy, and then paste. And so these are the Asians. And then the next step is I'm going to look at the other students. So here, this person is multiracial, 6 multiracial, and then these are black, and just only 1 racial identity black. So I'm going to copy and paste these and indicate 2. Yeah, so you can do this all the way until you have a number for each participant. And then after you complete this process, make sure to save the file. Save the file as step number 5. Okay, and I forgot, I'm also going to deal with another issue, is age. I'm going to sort age by ascending. So we have a group of people that didn't indicate their age, but then we also have one participant that indicated that they were 17 years old. So for this participant, we're going to remove them because they're not eligible. And the others are from 18 all the way up to 82. So we want to be able to calculate age. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change age from a string to a numeric. So that way it's a number that we can use to calculate. And as I'm here, I'm going to change race to 0 decimals because we really don't need that. So age, it would be a scale variable, and race would be a nominal variable. And again, after you've finished this process, save the data set as step number 5. So the next step is that we're going to clean the data set up a little. We're going to delete some extra variables that we won't be using in the data analysis. So here you can see that SPSS created generated a few variables that we probably won't be using. So we're just going to delete and clean that up so it's easier to manage. And also we had a lot of variables related to race. That was because the nature of a multiple select item. We've already created a variable of race, categorizing each of them. So we'll delete that. And so now we have a cleaner data set. So after this, make sure to save it as a new data set, step 6. So after having saved the data set as step 6, The next step for us is that we're going to recode some variables. So in this data set, we have existential anxiety questionnaire, attitudes towards seeking professional psychological help, and also time pressure. These are three scales that include some reversed items. So I'm going to use attitude towards seeking professional help as an example. So here, usually the wording is phrased as if you score higher, agree, that means that you have a more positive attitude towards seeking professional help. But they do have some reverse coded items. For example, this item number 10, personal and emotional troubles, like many things, tend to work out by themselves. So this is a reverse coded item. So here, based on this scale, we can see that we have 5 reverse coded items. So what we're going to do next is we're going to recode those items. So this is based on a scale from 1 to 4. 1 indicated disagree, 4 indicating agree. So what we will do here, we're going to do transform, and we're going to recode into a different variable. So looking back at this, we have 2, 4, 8, 9, 10. So these are the 5 variables that we need to recode. So let me take a look at that. So we're going to select these variables. So 2, 4, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to move it here. And then we're going to indicate, like, if the value was 1, it will now become 4. And if it was 2, it will become 3. 3 become 2, 4, oh, sorry, 3 become 2, make sure to click add, 4 become 1, add. Okay, look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it looks good. I'm going to click continue, and we're going to give each variable a new name. So for this one, we'll say ATS PPH02 recoded. I'm going to change here, and then we're going to do that for the other variables as well. So the next one, this will be 4 recoded. This one is going to be 8 reverse coded. This one is going to be 9 reverse coded. And the last one is going to be 10 reverse coded. Okay, so we'll click OK. And after we completed this step, you can go into the variable view and look to see if you have a set of 5 new recoded variables. So I'm gonna wait. It takes a little bit to run. Hopefully it's not stuck at this moment. SPSS indeed froze at that last step. So I'm just going to tell you what I did. So I recoded those items. So here you can see ATSPPH. I have 02 recoded, 04, 08, 09, and 10. Usually they turn out at the end, and what I did, I reordered them so that they could be with the other items. So one last step that I'm going to do is I'm going to score the subscales. And for today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate the means of the subscale or the scale scores. So in this example, attitude towards seeking professional psychology help, we have 10 items. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to transform, compute variables. And so I'm going to name the variables ATS PPH. So this is the mean of all different, all the various items. So I'm going to calculate the mean. So I'm going to go to statistical here. And so it'll give us various statistical functions. So I'm going to select mean and push it over here. So I have that. And then here, I'm going to move the 10 items that belong to this scale. So it's 1 and 2, we want to use the recoded score, and 3, 4, recoded score, 5, 6, 7, 8 recoded, 9 recoded, 10, 10 recoded. So it will calculate the mean of all these 10 scores, including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items that were recoded, and it'll create a new variable ATS PPH. So I'm going to click OK, and after it does the calculation, I'm going to go back to the data set. Here we can see there's a last variable, ATS PPH, and in the data view, we can also see the variable here. And so you will do that for all the variables in your study. So what I did was I went through all the variables that we'll be doing in this study, and then calculate the means. So for example, we have one of the items or the scale that was measuring people's view of God. So we had 5 different subscales. One was seeing God as limitless, authoritarian, mystical, benevolent, ineffable, and also some items indicate that they did not believe that there was God. And then we had 2 other variables that was related to religious perfectionism. One scale was zealous religious dedication, and the other scale was religious self-critical. And then we had uh, existential anxiety questionnaire. It included 3 subscales: fate and death, emptiness and meaninglessness, and guilt and condemnation. And then we had a scale that was communion with God scale, Christian gratitude, attitude towards seeking professional psychological help, time pressure, and views of therapy and teachings from their churches. So these are the study variables that I've calculated. And here you can see in the data set, we have their scores here towards the end. So this data set should be ready for analysis, and it's all clean. And we ended up with having, I think, 369 participants in the final data set. So that's it for today. Wanted to let you know how to organize, clean, and set up the data. There's more details that you can learn in terms of other steps related to looking at different assumptions, such as normality, looking at reliability or replacing missing data, etc. But I won't go into that in this one. I think this is already long enough. All right, hope this is helpful. Thank you.